So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Friday afternoon NIA webinar looking at the importance of national associations in the support of nanotechnology. We've got a very nice audience and subject for you today. We've got three presenters from quite different nanotechnology associations. So we've got Yuri will kick us off, then we have Asili, and then we have Andreas. And after each presentation, we are going to open to Q&As because this is a very interesting topic where people often have very relevant experiences. We will record this, so we should be recording this right now. We'll keep people on mute during the presentations and switch to audio after each presentation. So you can either write your question in the chat function, and I've made a little picture of it there on your screens, or you can just unmute yourselves and talk. So hopefully this will be very interesting, and we're very much looking forward to quite a lot of conversation between attendees. So those of you who usually attend NIA webinars, this is not the first time that you will be seeing this message, but I will kickstart with a small overview of what we do and then finish off with its relevance to national nanotechnology associations. So for those of you who have not joined us before, and I actually think you all are pretty familiar with us, we support the development of safe nanotechnology innovations. So it's not just the science, but all aspects of business and regulation and financing to try and support the emergence of commercial nanotechnology as much as possible. And we do that on a global basis, although most of our members are within Europe. Our members are very diverse. They reflect very much the landscape for nanotechnology as a whole. We have a number of large company organizations as members, and they are, again, themselves very diverse. So you go from Cabot, who is a highly specialized carbon-based producer, to 3M and BASF and Solvay, who are across the board technology developers and users. We have a number of small to mid-sized companies, and they are anything from brand new startups through to quite large mid-sized international companies. And really, we work closely with them to support their regulatory positioning very often and help them understand different market conditions and regulatory frameworks around that to really help them plan as far into the future as possible. Our research community is growing as well, we're very pleased to say, and that includes, again, everything from fairly fundamental research in nanotechnology through to research organisations that are that form the transition from research into industry. So organisations such as IMEG and VITO spend a lot of time working directly with industry on specific issues. We would be nothing without our specialist service provider members as well, and they vary, again, hugely from technical service providers through to legal and regulatory consultancy, sort of IT consultants, and these are all, again, very important to help support nanotech company developments. And finally, the guys you're going to hear from today within our national associations, which form a really great way for us to help support organisations across Europe through national associations and also be able to amplify their own voices up to a global level as well. So our regulatory work is, as you would expect, it's across all sectors in all countries, and we do everything from looking at national registries within for nanomaterials right up to the latest amendments to REACH. We look at US policy and regulatory development. So whenever there is something that will influence how a company may develop a product successfully to market on a regulatory perspective, we will help them as much as possible there. And of course, associations have a value in business and scientific networking. So we do work across a lot of different activities. So our Nanotech Innovation Council helps map where members see the latest disruptive technologies that support their own work. We work with a lot of other industry associations, which is excellent because we can become very sector specific through working with the correct association for that area. Money, of course, makes the world go round, and our funding tracker looks at different funding opportunities for companies, both public and private, particularly with large-scale investments from organisations such as the European Investment Bank. We're part of the Industry for Europe coalition, which doesn't focus just on nano or science, but is a coalition of 130 industrial associations in Brussels that works together to campaign for more coherent industrial policy at EU level. And that's a remarkably interesting organisation to be part of. And finally, we really like to support the overall ecosystem around nanotechnology development, and we do that primarily through becoming part of EU projects such as Patrols, which is looking at advanced materials for nanoparticle testing. So they're looking at 3D tissues, which is an extremely interesting field to be in, to reduce the use of animals within materials development, and also support the modelling of tox responses to nanomaterials. Through to Gov for Nano project, which has just started, which is looking at developing a risk governance council around nanomaterials and technologies. And that's really bringing together the whole community around how we position a trustworthy framework in which nanomaterials and technologies can be responsibly developed. But I could talk all day about those things. We'll go very quickly through the usual slide where I was like, you should be part of NIA if you are not already. And there's lots of space for people, and we have a very active community. And I know that a lot of you already follow us on LinkedIn and through our newsletter, so you know where to find me. So let's turn our attention to the topic that we have in front of us today, which is looking at national associations. And this is a topic that is close to my heart, having come from cluster development across Europe originally, and understanding that it is not just the science that builds a successful business and technology. For innovation to be translated, it needs businesses, and that needs a complete and robust economic framework in which organisations can grow. And this happens at regional level within countries, it happens at national level, and it happens to some extent at European level. And the key things that young companies need to access, apart from having their science, which we know is already great, but they need the correct business and scientific skills, they need access to finance and investors, they need visibility to find both customers and partners to work with, they need international connections so that they can develop their technologies into the correct markets. They need access to experts of all shapes and sizes. So not just building internal capability, but access to skilled external organisations. It's a really long list, and it's very important that young companies have access to that, because nobody has the time and the money to grow those capabilities in-house. And nano is unlike other sectors such as IT or perhaps healthcare as such, where you rarely see a large geographical representation in one place, because this is a technology that is much newer. It's not likely to be as substantial as pharma in terms of it pulling companies together. So it needs additional frameworks in which organisations can grow. And this is strong regional and national frameworks. And this is really where our national members come into play. And it works in two ways. They create a very strong support framework for companies to grow, so helping them gain access to the things that they do not already have within their company. And they also operate as a two-way communication channel with regional and national governments. Understanding what national strategy is, and also helping to guide national strategy for that particular sector, and then translating those messages down to a more operational level with their companies. And NIA does a lot of this work already in terms of networking and business support. We do that on a global level, but our national associations are really operational on the ground at a local level. And that's what we're going to look at today. So the aim of the presentations that we have are to understand the priorities of national associations, how they run themselves, where they see the challenges for company development, and then look at good practice that they bring into play. because it's very easy to try and have an extremely broad spread of services and support all things, but really they have to have core specialities so that they can have the maximum support for economic development at national level. So I will stop talking and I will introduce you to our first speaker today from the Czech Republic, who is Yuri. Do you want to unmute yourself, Yuri, and say hello?
Hello.
To the point. So your slides are now on, so we can hear you really well. So please take it away. And at the end of your presentation, we'll look at some of the key points and recommendations for organizations involved in the support of Nano.
Okay, so Claire, thank you for a nice introduction. And so what I want to do now in 10-15 minutes to present you our association and the targets and the reason why we are existing at what we do. Normally I'm starting my presentation with just the sentence you see on the first slide, Czech is Nano, which is our message, our simplified message to remember. It has two levels. The Czech Republic is quite a small country in the center of the Europe, but with very long technological tradition, and we are quite strong in nanotechnology application, and that's it. So let's go further. Another slide. Claire, you shift or I shift? Okay, thank you. So we started at the end of 2014. We founded the association, which is in fact composed from nanotech companies from various industries. The principle is that the member is a company manufacturing something and having nanotechnology as its a core business. So in 2014, 12 companies founded the association, and now we have 22 members. We are financed basically by membership fees. Last year we found first sponsor. It's a Czech bank, Moneta Bank, which is helping us a little bit with financing some events. And this year we are looking for a project to be more professional and to even improve and enlarge our activities. When we founded the association, we had or we communicate to our members two main targets. We want to create a lobby. We want to lobbying on the both national and international level for nanotechnology industry, and we wanted to create a not expensive PR agency for our members. So these two goals. Another slide. You see that the logos of our members, there are really different companies from different parts of the Czech Republic, some from Prague, some from the north, from Moravia, from the southern part of Czech Republic, and the majority of our members are SMEs. In fact, only two companies are larger, but the other one are small or medium-sized companies. And as Claire mentioned at the introduction, those small and medium companies with limited sources need help to promote their products, help to be much more visible, and that's what the association can do for them. Okay, next slide. Now we have already 4 years of our existence, and we managed to create a lobbying entity. We became an expert for ministries and for government office. we are also participating in the Legislative Council, so we can influence the creation of the new laws. We are also participating on the new government innovation strategy. We were in the group of organization which helped to create a new strategy, which has been presented 1 month ago by the Prime Minister. What we do continuously, we are making contacts with influential people which who can bring the message that Czech is nano further and help us to promote. We are making briefing for foreign embassies. We are visiting different events, making presentation, and so on. To be the reason is to be visible, and to give our message to other people, which can help to strengthen this nano narrative in our society. And we are trying to be, let's say, to be on the list, invited organizations. Okay, next. PR agency for members, what does it mean? So we decided to start to do so-called Nano Days, which is an event for open to public, which we do once or twice per year in bigger cities across Czech Republic. And we are trying to make from invisible visible, and to make nanotechnology cool, to show to normal people without any knowledge about nanotechnology or biotechnology and so on, what nano is and what interesting products and function nanotechnology brings to people, and how it can help us and improve our life. For us, this Nano Day, it is not only about the day that some people are visiting and looking at that, but we are making a lot of promotion before and after. We are creating a video, we place it on social media. So more or less those Nano Days are for us a kind of promotion tools. Okay, next. We are also quite strong in the work with media. In fact, we have two collaborators in our group who are media specialists, and we are issuing press releases. We are making discussion for the media, for both printed media and also for different TV station. After those 4 years, we did maybe tens, hundreds of media outputs. And again, what we are repeating, that nanotechnology is one of the drivers of technological revolution, that Czech Republic is strong in nanotechnology, and that nanotechnology is important for the future of the country, to do it for the prosperity. And that's the message we repeat again and again. And again, we make the invisible visible. We are speaking about the products and application, but not in a scientific way, but in a simple or simplified words for the normal people to understand. Okay, go on. Next slide, please. Social media are for us very important tool to promote nanotechnology or the Czech nano companies. One of our experts, Lucie, is really professional for social media, and she created for us a Facebook page and two Twitter accounts, and she's creating the post, and we play with nanotechnology and with this. So we simplified things, we are making them funny, we are streaming videos, and in 4 years doing that, we managed to set up a large community of people following us and reading our posts, our text, and communicating with us. Okay, go on. When you work with social media, it's a platform where you must be funny, you must be fast. So we are when we are anywhere, we post the photographs and we give a brief message. It is sometimes a mistake of the people while thinking that Facebook is something like LinkedIn, but Facebook it's a playground where you play with words and you play with photographs. So we are doing this way, and you see, when I looked at one of our Twitter account, I found out that we made already in 3 years we have it over 3,000 tweets. So it's quite a lot of work we did, but you know that on Twitter there are a lot of journalists, and we know that they are following us, and sometimes an article appears and we see that they are using our words and our text in their article. So I think it's very, very important to be visible and to work with media, to be active and do well social media like Twitter and Facebook. Okay, next slide. YouTube is also a very important communication channel. What we started to do 1 year ago, we started a project called Nano Superman, and we are making own professional videos dedicated to famous Czech nanotechnologists or inventors or people from nano industry, and we are working with their personal history. So we are trying to not just to present the science and but we are presenting the history of a person, a personal history. So that's an example of Nano Superman. Dr. Jan Procházka, who invented a 3D battery and also smart coating. And you see when we put the video on YouTube, and again we once it is on YouTube, we put it on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and that there's quite a lot of people already have seen the video. Okay, next slide. We have also our web pages, which is basically used to publish news. When we are organizing something, we put it on our web, and you can find there also all of our members and contacts. But in general, I think that today much more important tool is social media than web. You have to have web with the basic information, but much more it's important to be much more focused on social media. the time of web pages is in principle over. Okay, go on. You see Nano Superman. So what we do, we create a story. We give to the audience the story of nanotechnologies, of Nano Superman. And that's another way how to make nanotechnology understandable, cool, interesting. It's not science, it's a personal story. Okay, go on. Next slide, please. That's all, folks. So you see the most important sentence is Czech is nano, the Czech Republic is nano expert, we are Nano Superman, and nano is the future. So thank you.
No, thank you very much. And that was a really good insight into the types of activities you can really specialize in to support your community. And I made a few little notes. And so I wanted to ask Yuri, how important was it to have the company support to start up in the first place? Because often these things are very government-driven initiatives. But for you, it was really very much with the companies involved, I think.
Yes, in fact, when we started, and we are still volunteers. So it means we are not financed by our government, and it was just our dream and our targets, and we created it. And so not easy, but we managed what we wanted to do. We became really expert for government, and in fact, we were the first one who updated the situation on nanotech market. I don't know if you understand me too, because the government agency ministries, they are not so flexible, and they should have overview, but in fact they do not have. So what we did, we are helpful for them, and we taught them to use our expertise. But we are totally independent from the government from the beginning. But we managed to become the expert, the one who is giving the expertise in nanotech industry.
No, that's great. And what would you say are the skills that you require within the association to help run it? Because, there's never any money to run associations, so you have to focus on what you're good at doing. So what are the most important skills that you have with yourself and the people that work with you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think the very important is what I mentioned, the skill to know how to work with media and with social media. We have two persons. One of them is my colleague Pavel, who is something like secretary of the association, and he used to work 20 years in media, in broadcasting. And the other person is Lucia, which is in fact my daughter, and she's also a journalist, and she's professional in social media and working for different companies to creating and running Facebook and Twitter account. Because if you want to do it efficiently, it must be professional. And what is it is very often a mistake that you just create Facebook and you put something there, but it's not working. You have to do it on a professional way. So let's do. And then what we are using for those Nano Days. So in fact, we use the active people inside the companies, the expert in their staff. So.
Yeah, so in fact, that was going to be my next question. In fact, so how do you use the strength of your members? So obviously you provide a framework, particularly of communications, and you use the knowledge inside your members to populate that framework.
Yeah. Yes, knowledge, but important. What is also important that the people inside the company, there must be active.
Exactly.
So knowledge and also. Some kind of activity or So.
No, that's great, thank you. So I would like to, I could ask questions all afternoon, but I would be delighted if some of our attendees today had questions that they wanted to add. So you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly, or you can write it in the chat function of the webinar and we will read it out. So I will leave a suitably respectable pause in which you can talk or write.
Hello, this is Åseli Hartmanis, SwedNanoTech.
Hi, Åseli.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, Jerry, for a very interesting presentation on the Czech Nano. I think it was really interesting to see that you're working so intense with the storytelling. How do you choose your victims, sort of?
Now, we know from this nanotech industry community, there are some very, how to say it, charismatic people, and so.
So it's not just the ones that run the slowest; it's the ones that stand out the most.
So this may be. So this guy, Dr. Procházka. It would be wonder if we wouldn't choose him. So it's not what I because I'm involved in nanotechnology 5-6 years. Everything started when I set up my own company, and what I saw and what I see that the nanotech industry is full of very creative and crazy people. So it is quite easy to this storytelling, because there are sometimes incredible personal stories how they started their nanotech business and what all they had to do to create something. So it's a good.
I can agree. I would say that was my intention when I'm from the Swedish scene, sort of. So I think you're right.
Yeah, that is definitely something we see across sectors as well. Because when I used to work in biotech, there's so much energy that comes out of small companies. There's loads to use from them, and they are all insanely optimistic. Because who else would put loads of money into a very early stage technology and give yourself an impossible road to the market? So it's really an amazing group of people that help build these communities in the first place.
So insanely optimistic, that's a very nice expression. That's it. But you know what we are saying, we are something like nano family. So we like each other, and we really created a nice group of people. So it's not only about the company's industry, but about very nice people, nice group of people which became friends in those 4 years. So.
No, I think
insane optimistic.
Yeah, that's an important point for sure, because it's all about the people at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Well, do we have any other questions from the floor? I'll just check my little chat function. No? If not, that's absolutely fine. We can talk throughout the webinar, and we will move now to Åseli. So thanks very much indeed, Yuri. So I'm going to put on Åseli, and you can introduce yourself, Åseli, while I just put your slides up.
I will do that. Hello, everybody. I'm Åseli Hartmanis from SwedNanoTech, which is the National Association, and I would like to put this in a wider context, as we have got this idea from Claire and the friends in Brussels. SwedNanoTech has been around a little longer than the Czech Nano. We started our activities in 2011, and actually already in 2010 there was the idea came from academia, Lund University primarily, and some companies thinking that we need shop window for nanotechnology, and we also need somebody who create the meeting places. So the idea was then to create the associations with Nanotech. And it came into force in May 2011. So I've been here with it from the start. So it was, I mean, it was really starting from the beginning. You had to fix everything yourself in the beginning. You had to even clean the floors before you left the office on Friday afternoon. So luckily I don't do that today. But we also, I can say that we, since I've been in contact with NIA almost from the beginning, I think I regard myself as a little sister. We have almost the same focus, but we have it on a national scale. This is, maybe we can take the next slides, because there we come more or less from how we work today. This is in Swedish, but you might understand what it's all about. The kansli in the middle is the office, which is quite tiny at the moment because it's only me. We have the board, we have a reference group, we have our members in academia and industry and in all sorts of organizations and support organizations. And then we have the real support organizations, the collaborators, the sponsors, and so on. And in the next slide, if we try to identify what we are doing and who we are, it is a non-profit association, and we work as kind of the gateway to Swedish nanotechnology, and it also includes the nanotechnology research facilities. We also work as a contact point between Swedish and international parties. We have been, for example, we have been working in some kind of reference groups for the Commission, EU Commission on the NMBP research program. And we have in Sweden, mostly national, we're working to give the voice to nanotechnology companies and nanotechnology field, I would say, in different aspects within government and the government agencies, and also, of course, providing media and the public sector with information and news. We have a newsletter that we release once a month, and we have like 3,000 people who get this every month, and it is where you can find people from government, you can find people from media, you can find people from very different and diverse sectors, I would say, not only the nano people, but also a lot of other people in there. So the next slide, what we offer our members is, and society, of course, we offer the network of scientific excellence, and to our members we offer the network of friends in governments, agencies, and among investors, among IP experts. You see, I think it's almost the same wherever you are, but I can say that there's a jungle out there. There are zillions of organizations who wants to aid to promote innovations and so on, and it's you can see that in Sweden as well. So just to get the right atmosphere or environment for the companies, I think that's both interesting and very challenging as well. What we offer also further are meeting places, both on the internet, in like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, but also physical meeting places, and I will come to that later. There are two questions in the at the end of this this slide. It is where are the hotspots? Where can I get assistance? That's more for SME companies to see who can help me with my problem. If I have problems with well, whatever, if the some mechanical problems, it doesn't work already, you can maybe you can talk to this company, the advanced nano surfaces, for example, or applied nano surfaces, or where can I get assistance? How can what we have been talking about during some years now is how can we really help the SMEs in Sweden to get in touch with the startup companies, because it's not very a natural source for them or resource for companies to get that close to academia, not at least not in Sweden. There might be some barriers to climb before you really get there, and I mean, who shall you talk to? And we see our role in that spot. The next slide, I've tried to show our members. We started with a few of the startup companies, a few universities. Actually, there was Lund University in the beginning, and also Uppsala University. But then we have the trade and industry associations has come also. We have I think that might differ from the rest of you. We have also individual memberships, and students are members. So altogether we're about like I send around 100 invoices every year, so about 100 people really, or people in those organizations. But within we represent a lot more than that, of course. The research institutes, they are very active, and so that's also very interesting. Next slide. With this slide, this is kind of a generic slide, but of course it is like all of you, we're working in an environment where we need to face the global challenges, and you cannot do that with the same technology that has created it. So you have to I think really here is where nanotechnology and other emerging technologies come into play to get the innovations for the global challenges. And we're working quite hard really in a project with the second bullet point here, the clean water. We have a quite large for Sweden. It is a national program, and it's quite large for Sweden. It is to create functional materials that can handle can handle or can want to come to the result for clean water and clean air, and that's we're starting then with what we are best, where we have our strongholds, which in one way is nanocellulose and other materials in that respect, and then add on gadgets and things on this material to have more kind of responsible or responsive filter materials. So that's very interesting. So that's really a thing that we are working with. In the next slide, I would like to see show how we get the funding. We have member fees. We're doing projects like the Mr. Terra Cleaners, the Clean Water, Clean Air project, and we are doing some consulting business as well. We had I would say a very nice start in 2011, because then at that time we had the chairman of the board was the former minister of research in Sweden. So we had this kind of the easy entrance to the government. So in the beginning we had money from the government, but that ceased after a few years. So now we work only for projects and consulting. And then the next slide. Yeah, that is also how we are working. We're working to support the collaboration between startups and the established business, between academia and startups, between society and startups as well. And really what we are doing, we are creating these events. The meeting places are still the main, our main area, I would say. We have very close connected with the investors, so we're in a way aiding them to find their way in the other jungle, which is what kind of technology is appropriate to fund. And from there we really use the network, the academic network. We have a lot of people who have been in the business for quite some time, and they are experienced for doing some kind of technical due diligence. And not to mention the least is the policy engagement. We have also, like Jiri mentioned, also for Czech Nano, we're working in different reference groups for the government and for the agencies. And I think one thing that we really, I will get back to that also later. We have a national register in Sweden, and it was due to, or thanks to, a meeting we had together with the painting business and the government agency, that the pigments are not in, they don't need to be registered. So we have done some good there, I think. The next slide. What our main meetings are. This is the Nanna Forum, I would say. This is the annual meeting. At this meeting, we want to expand this to be not only a Swedish meeting, but an international meeting. And we focus on societal or science in society, I would say. And one of the really fun thing we do have at these meetings is to award the Nanotech Company of the Year. And that sets nanotechnology also in the, you get the positive feeling, you get the positive vibrance from really starting a kind of a party for nanotechnology. So this is really nice. It's just a one-day meeting. This year we will actually do this in an international way, because this will be held in July this year in Malmö, south of Sweden, together with in accordance as a conference within the great conference, the big conference, IVC, International Vacuum Conference, which will be held at the same time, or that will be for 1 week, and we have 1 day. So I welcome you really to come to Malmö in July if you would like to meet with us and get some insights about the electric society that will soon be here, the startup scene, what's happening, and which companies are really hot these days, and also see how the investors think about the investing for the future. The AIM Day Nano is really a matchmaking event, where companies send in their questions, which could be responded to by people from academia. So you get the questions, and then the scientists respond to this, and then you have at the AIM day, which will be 2 days, you have some sort of, what should I say? Well, the question is discussed in a closed room, and from that discussion, you can also apply from the National Innovation Agency for money to do the first results, or the first trials in about this case. So that's very interesting as well. And the next slide. Do I have something fun there? This is Swedish, but you might understand Roadmap Nano Sverige, Roadmap Nano Sweden, towards a nanomaterial-based industry in Sweden. So for this little pamphlet, we've had like 4 or 5 meetings, and we wanted to point out the people working with this was mainly academia, but also research institutes. No companies at this time, because we wanted to see where are the hotspots really. What are they working with at Lund University? What are they working at in Stockholm University? And what companies or what branches are this research? What could it address for if it would implement the research ideas in another time? What we found out is that some of the research infrastructures are not old, but they are underfinanced. They have some years. They were erected some years ago. So, but they are not worn out. But they really need more investing from the government. And the third thing that we also put light on in this report is that you need another philosophy when speaking about investing in nanotechnology and other emerging technologies and kits, because this is nothing you can just do within a time frame of 5 years or 10 years from an idea to a product. It takes much longer, and the venture capital, they are focused on the 5-10 years frame, so it doesn't work for them. So then you have to find something else, more long-term funds. And with that said, I think we are on our way to establish such a fund in Sweden. So the next slide, if there is one. Yeah, I was asked to tell you a little bit about the National Registry, which came into force last year, and the first registered date was actually a few weeks ago. I tried to get in contact with the agency to hear how many applications they have got, but maybe that guy was somewhere else. So I couldn't get this information for you. But what this National Registry is thinking, it is something that is called Produktregistret, the product registry in Sweden. And if you're working with nanomaterials, you have to register that with the physical and chemical properties. And as you see, the particle size, the particle form, the crystal structure, surface area, so what kind of surface treatment it has undergone, and the charge, and some other things also, as well. There is the exceptions are, as I said, the pigments, and also if you are a company, a smaller company with 500 euros per year that you work, you don't need to come into this register, which will be that means that smaller, really startup companies don't really need to put their to go into the registry. But this is one thing, and I mean that I think in a way it came from a national or a governmental report that was done in 2013, where it was focused on safe handling of nanomaterials, and we said we need this the registry. And now when it also comes into force with the REACH, the registry there, we'll see what happens with this one. The next slide. This is what I think are recommendations for national associations. It's really work together with others. For the safety, health, and environmental issues, for example, we're working with the industry association, the chemical industry association here. For other policy issues, we really to join forces with other organizations as well. And I think for the innovation, you have to build bridges between academia and industry, and the bridge is not only the SME, the startup companies, because it's too large burden for them just to bear everything. So you have to be some kind of a translator between what will happen, where will this, where can it be applied, and so on. So I think you have to work on the whole chain there. Well, for exhibitions and matchmaking, we are really working with other organizations and associations who have to, since if you're small, you have to be kind and strong. So you have to see where can you get the best collaborations. And was that the last one, or maybe there is one more? No. All right.
That's it.
Thank you so much. That's it.
No, thanks very much indeed, Asli. And it's quite interesting that you have, although you are also a small organisation, you have quite a different set of operating procedures than Theory, which is very interesting. And the National Registry in Sweden has been a controversial issue, really, and we could talk about that. That's a whole nother webinar on its own. But it's great that, I mean, you had a strong role in trying to make it as practical as possible for implementation, I think.
Indeed, that was our role in that.
Yeah, and I was looking through my notes from your presentation. You have really great numbers of contacts through to organisations. You know, so if you're looking at a newsletter of 3,000, I would ask how you find and engage people from your target areas, you know, such as policymakers or regulators. How do you actually get them to become involved in the association?
Giving them a call. No, but I mean, we also represent since we have kind of the whole spectrum. We have the academia, we have the startup companies. We also have some insights in, and as we now have moved to the House of Enterprise in Stockholm in Sweden, we have connections to other trade organizations. I mean, we represent, or we can at least say that we have friends all over the place. So we talk with us, or you will be behind, sort of. So that's, I can say that is.
No, that's great. Thanks. So I would ask if anybody has any questions from our audience for Asli. No, they're all very quiet.
Not maybe a direct question, but I was very, very happy to see the work you did with your roadmap. I really thought that was a useful exercise, so compliments on that.
Thank you so much, David.
Yeah, because it's, as with all emerging technologies, the landscape is very complex. So it's great for an organization like yours to be able to have a relatively simple path through the middle of it, because it's too much to comprehend for a general person or a single organization.
Yeah, that's right.
So if there are no further questions, I would say thanks very much indeed, Asali. That was another extremely interesting presentation. And what we would do now is introduce our last presenter of the afternoon, Andreas Falk, who brings, again, a very different approach to being a national association. So I will leave it to Andreas to introduce BioNanoNet and their work, and it will be, and then we can come back to the questions for that afterwards. So thanks very much, Andreas. You may take it away.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me quite well.
Yeah, very well, thank you.
My name is Super. My name is Andreas Falk. I'm from Austria. I'm CEO of the BioNanoNet Research Association, which has a clear aim to drive forward some kind of technology to be an enabling factor to enable breakthroughs in technology by adding some knowledge, which is especially from industry needed to be guided through some safety assessment things and so on. So this is one of the parts we can offer. And on the other hand, we are a network organization, which makes it quite easy to combine on the one hand technological support with some networking activities. So please to the next slide. Thank you. So the organization is done that an association is the owner of a limited. GmbH is the German word for the limited. The association had a network assets of connecting nanotechnology related experts from different areas, so different domains ranging from medical and pharmaceutical technologies, ending up somewhere at LCDs and photovoltaics, which is really a huge spectrum. Hence, it's clear that we want to strengthen multidisciplinary collaborations, which is more or less on the hand if you see who are the members in our network. And of course, as Azali and Yishi already mentioned in their talks, representation and positioning on national as well on international level is also a very important part in the network. The Limited has 3 thematic focus areas, which are on the one hand nanotoxicology, combining a lot of very good and well-staffed technology centers who can provide tailored to the needs of industry research, analytics, characterization technologies, and so on. Then we have the big area of health, safety, medicine. As the name says, that's really very applied parts where we directly go to the clinic. On the one hand, we directly go to groups like nutrition and health experts. And in the safety field, it's the field where we provide our core competence of the limited nano safety assessment. The third part, it's enabling technology, in this case specified on sensor technologies, in which we started a small group at the beginning which tailored medical sensor solutions. Several SMEs elaborated out of that. Spin-off and startups have been founded from these parts, and nowadays it ended up in the microfluidics experts group. There we have organ on chip, lab on chip, all these nice things on chips, as well as the upscaling facilities of our partners involved in this part. The link from the national to the European landscape, we tried to establish based on existing European technology platforms. You might know that there have been, has been, or are at the moment nearby 40 European technology platforms listed in Europe. And we are in the executive board of the nanomedicine technology platform, as well as in the executive board of the sustainable chemistry technology platform. So we can play a nice role positioning the national interests in the nanomedicine field, as well as in the sustainable chemistry field at the European level, and vice versa, to do the bidirectional communication, to feed back to our members what is new, what are the trends on the European level, and how they could benefit from having really very early information about strategic developments on the European side. You see in the national technology platforms row the Austrian Microfluidics Initiative. This is our youngest one, to also get to the history. 2006, BioNanoNet was founded at the Limited, and now we are in our 13th year, and the microfluidics is our new baby, and we had already a nice event in the end of February this year in Vienna, where more than 100 people attended, 50% of them coming from industry, keen on getting technological solutions from the researchers and developers to somehow include them in their businesses. Next slide, please. Thank you. So at the moment, we are already 55 organizations, 3/4 of it from Austria, the rest coming from, at the moment, 11 different European countries. So even if it's called national associations in the webinar, we can say a part in our focus, in our horizon, is already international, which comes just from the point that a lot of things cannot be done in one country. They need collaboration across countries, and that's why we opened our network for the rest of Europe as well. Not only limited to Europe, we had some requests from Asian countries as well as from Canada and South America already. However, we are trying to still keep our main business done in Europe. The representation from academia to SMEs to industry is quite broad. Coming back to Jiří's comments from his presentation, we have a very good collaboration also with our national ministries, which I just want to double that this is one of the keys for a national organization to be somehow sustainable and a long-term player in this field, if there is a good communication and collaboration with the national ministries. This we can provide. We definitely are open for newcomers as long as they can provide specific expertise in one of the focus fields. We do support projects from proposal to the implementation with different levels, and definitely a key point is that a lot of key enabling technologies, as you know from the Horizon 2020 program, there was everything said about the key enabling technologies are represented in the BioNanoNet. Now we are trying to make ourselves fit and ready to support the missions-oriented framework program Horizon Europe, which will come up in not really 2 years, but we will be well prepared for this as well. And I think that's one of the key challenges for any national organization, to be prepared for such things. Okay, let's go to some organizational information, please. The next slide. As I said already, the association is the owner of the Limited. In the Limited, we have departments and management, secretariat. You need, of course, public relations and scientific assistance. And you can hopefully see this bidirectional arrow between the association's members and the scientific assistants. This is one of our key or unique selling points, which normally is not the case in national associations, that they can provide real specific know-how for development. Next slide, please. In our association's board, we have a really nice lineup of vice rectors, so high-level university people, as well as 3 people coming from industrial-oriented groups, from pharmaceutical area, in the biomarkers research area, as well as in the material science area, from the montanistic side of the material sciences. Next slide, please. So what is the key in area network is that you have a highly motivated and engaged team. I'm sure some of you have already met in their business life one of my colleagues, one of my employees. You see, we are really addressing the gender aspect as well. So nicely imbalanced towards the women. They're doing a great job, and they are specific, making key roles, or having key roles in my network. Like in the nano safety side, we have 2 experts, like Krista and Susie. We have the PR manager in Simone, and like Nick is one of the I think very highly recommended project managers you can find here in Europe. Next slide, please. What is important from our point of view, that you can really say, this is my profile of a national association. In our case, BioNanoNet is a scientific network. We are the enablers. We are not the ones providing the technology ourselves, but our members have the technologies in their hands. So based on, in Austria, acting on national and international level, some of you might have heard about digital innovation hubs. We are registered as one, and are working on it to expand this part. The technological breakthroughs in different areas are mentioned already. Our role is to enable it from the background. We are not in the front position, but supporting. So we do really support that innovation comes to life from science to market. And our key role is to understand scientific people, what they want to bring to the market, and to talk then as well to industry, as well as to colleagues like NIA, to pave this way from science as well to the market. Our focus is on the advanced materials and the processes, and specializing on bio and nanotechnologies as the case. So next slide, please. You can see a certain overview about our association's members. Most of them having really nice logos, like Infineon and Siemens might be well known by most of you. If you're interested in more details on the members, you can consult our webpage, which presents all of them quite nicely. What I wanted to highlight here is that our network is supported by 2 ministries. The one is on education, science and research. The second one is on traffic, innovation and technology, which both ministries are well active also on European level. And it's good to have this direct connection. Next slide, please. This is a little bit feed for thought. You will find hopefully the one or the other keyword on this slide, which is interesting for you. If it's interesting, come back to me at any time to connect and to elaborate together on the one or the other project or collaboration. So I don't want to talk about all these words here, just one, because it's in the upper end, the blood-brain barrier, where there is one unique technique which we co-developed together with one of our partners, and they are now FDA approved for testing generic methods, generic developments. So if you need anything in this direction, please also come back to us. Okay, next slide. Here you will see the multidisciplinarity we have in our network. Again, I want to point out some member highlights, like the metabolomics, like the regenerative medicine, the process analytic technology, and the new fields on nutrition and health and microfluidics. Sorry for the typo there. It's really one of the future and emerging technologies. So you can also find it in the upcoming or at the moment prepared FED flagship initiatives, which should be there operative in the Horizon Europe then. We see a strong effort necessary on this microfluidics and lab on chip work. So health tech in principle as one of the key future topics, and this will also be one of the major topics in our network in the future. So what do we add to the expertise our members can provide? We support mainly in the safety aspects of nanotechnology. In some extent, we also address some regulatory aspects, mostly on the national level, if our SMEs come to us and don't find their ways through a lot of things like how to register their things, then of course we support, but this is a minor part in our role. What we are more active is in the standardization aspects. In this case, we support, especially on the characterization technologies, some colleagues to bring their test systems to a standard, which is a very interesting journey, and I can just recommend to do this. You learn a lot by this. What you can also get from our network, and maybe this is one of the key points again, you can do on a national level to initiate and to develop strategic areas and technology fields, either on national or on international level. As Athalie already mentioned, their work on roadmaps. We have successfully done this on national Europe for production of future calls and for national strategies. But we have also done this on European level. For example, we have prepared the roadmap on how to bring nanotechnologies closer to the market. It's publicly available. And we still do a lot of efforts on the nano safety side to bring those nicely developed methods, nicely developed applications and products to the market and support it from the safety cluster view with the fitting tools and technologies. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, the core competencies of BioNanoNet is in the nano safety. So if you need tailored safe by design strategies for your business, you are happy to come back to us. If you need some networks, especially some partners in nanomedicine or in sustainable chemistry or microfluidics from Austria, you're also welcome to get served from our sites. On the way, developing strategic documents, we have good contacts across Europe to some key stakeholders. We support strategic developments and as well as try to implement them on national level. And of course, project services. Mainly, we restrict it to support it if our members requesting these services, but of course we are open to support as well if you need something on that side. Next slide, please. Now I want to close my talk with highlighting the 3 technology platforms that you get a little bit more insight. National technology platforms, the nanomedicine, the SASCHEM, and the microfluidics are our core competence groups. which are the basis on the national level to get them visible, to bring them into press and media on the national level, but especially to make them stronger, create critical mass, to get ears at the funding positions, that they listen to them and that they request from them to talk about what they can provide and how the economic structure in Austria should be created or further developed to serve for a prosperous future in these fields. So Nanomedicine Austria is now one of the European national technology platforms on nanomedicine, and there, of course, targeted drug delivery and diagnostic tools are the core business. And yeah, we try to strengthen by this the scientific and business location in Austria in a sustainable way. Next slide, please. Similar activity we do on the sustainable chemistry. Here we combine industry, academia, national politics, and as well as societal players, which should be mentioned as well in the fields of chemical and biotechnical innovations. Industrial biotechnology is one of the keywords. Process technologies, definitely process and analytical technologies. And we could already achieve some really good steps forward, some jobs creation in Austria by support from Saschem Austria. So there is really good story already behind this. We founded 2014. It went operative 2015, and now it's operative since 4 years and can already highlight some real nice success stories. Next slide, please. So coming back to our baby, the Austrian Microfluidics Initiative. Again, here we can, it was founded 2017. We have the first success story that the next course of the production of the future in Austria will have a specific listing of the microfluidics in their core texts, and that the strategic agenda of the Austrian ministries has at least discussed to take this topic into their strategies, which we can say after such a short time, it is real great success by promoting the microfluidics technology to the relevant players in Austria. Okay, so I'll come to the pre-last slide from my talk to give you not only the national but also the international connections of BioNanoNet. We were very much involved in the development of the European Pilot Production Network, as well as we are one of the coordination team members of the Nano Safety Cluster, as we have been there already from the beginning, from 2009. We are driving the Industrial Innovation Liaison Group, which is one of the key connecting points between the science and research of the Nano Safety Cluster with pilot and production groups across Europe. It started to serve only pilot projects, but now expanded already to be a nice location to go and to ask if there is some kind of issues coming up for industrial developers. On the left-hand side, you see the research and innovation actions we are involved, like in the governance field with the God4Nano project, together with NIA. In the nanogen tools, it's a Marie Curie staff exchange program as well. NIA is there. In the BioRima, where it's the biomaterial risk management. In the ACE Nano, where the characterization is a key topic. Smart for Pharma is a nanomedical project in which we support with developing the safe by design strategy and implement it to come up with a drug which can go directly into the brain to treat Fabry disease. And Nano Commons, it's a data platform and infrastructure project in which the data communication in the nano field is structured, in which we are also a partner involved. Then you see the SASCHEM Europe, the Nanomedicine Europe, the technology platforms. On the right-hand side, you see 3 nice pilot projects in which we as well could serve with developing the safety strategy. The Inspired project, you see some droplets. There were the development of Nano Ink, one of the core parts. The high response at the right side, lower side. Their printing, high resolution printing was the core topic, and roll-to-roll biofluidics developed an IVD and is already nearby market entry, which can also be mentioned as a success story, that a real starting from a nano product or nano enabled product, ending at the market, which is quite a nice success. So let's go to the last slide before our people fall into the weekend. What I think could be some take-home messages for the creation or for the driving of a national association. Be clear about the thematic focus, what is in, what is not. Make a clear profile out of your national group. Look who are the key players at your national area, and if you are able to involve them, it's much easier than to try to get around them. Build on existing infrastructures that gives you some already well-established support, and you can go to funding agencies or to ministries or to governments saying that you use already what they have supported since years, and they will be more than happy to support you then as well. Which comes to the next point, regional strategy documents, a horrible document normally, in which you find a lot of text, but normally you find nice points where you can enter keywords in your strategy for your association to directly connect it with the wish list of the national government. The next point, to connect the national association on international level, will help you to keep your business in the long term available and sustainable. What definitely is key are the personal relations. So keep in mind, you will see every person maybe more than once in your life. I can definitely say yes, that's the fact. And if you have some kind of personal relations with the key people in your area, you will have a much easier way forward than without having these relations. By this, I want to send sunny greetings from Graz, really sunny greetings, and thanks for listening. And I'm happy to be in contact with you. So if you go now to the last slide, there are my contact details, and we can definitely continue to talk about whatever collaboration or you might need in the future as well. Thanks. So handing back to Claire.
Thanks very much indeed, Andreas. And that was a really interesting look at an organisation that is structured quite differently. I mean, for a start, as you can see from the very nice picture, there's lots of them. And so they clearly bring content as well as facilitation. So it's very nice to see the skills, and it is a super skilled team. And it's great, always great to work with BNN. But Andreas, how do you maintain your focus across such a broad set of topics? Because do you follow a pre-defined strategy, or do you respond to requests once they reach a certain threshold? So how do you decide what to do?
It's twofold. The one is that we now we are already in this process for the next 5 years, but every 5 years we have a big strategy in which we look into all the things, all the processes, all the structures we have. If there are still fitting what we need, what our members need. This is the one part. The second, more interactive and really very interactive with our members, is that in an annual meeting, which is always in the second week of September, we bring together all our members for a whole day to define what should be the strategic points for the next year. And if you can think of, if it's done in September, it's a nice start by the beginning of the next year to implement what the wish list of the members is. By this, we are able to react on specific wishes from our members on the one hand, and we are able to react on developments and trends on national as well as on European level, which come in and which you sometimes need to adopt your things before falling out of the focus due to being an ongoing walking elephant without looking left or right. So these two parts, one yearly update, including the members very much, and the long-term perspective as strategy document as well.
No, that's great. Thanks very much. Do we have any questions from our attendees today? No, still very quiet. But it's very interesting to see how BNN operates, and it's also nice. It also demonstrates very well how a country can often act as a cluster. And I know that Scotland has the same approach in that it knows it's too small to have regions which try to stand out. So they create a network for the entire country. And that's pretty much what Austria has done as well. And it's a very sensible approach to take. But if there are no further questions, I mean, I think I would add some of the key learnings that you take from all of these presentations, even though they are, they are quite different. The organizations have a different core mission. They have a different mode of operation. But the personal connections are probably one of the key questions to take away. And I'll try and go backwards through Andreas' slides. And that is absolutely correct, because you don't have to be everybody's best friend, but there always has to be an open door. And that is really the job of an association, whether at regional or national or international level, in that you should be able to go to most places and facilitate things for your members. And that is quite an interesting job to do, because you are not the carrier of the content, you are simply the person who takes the message and helps set things up. So it's a very core thing that we've seen across all three presentations today. So I would like to thank all of our attendees and definitely all of our speakers who put a lot of work into taking a step back and looking at what their role is as an association. So really, if any of our audience here are already in an association, you will already recognize many of these messages. And if you do not have an association within your country associated with nanomaterials or technologies, it's not a huge barrier to create one. You don't need a lot of money. You need willpower and volunteers and a knowledge that it will have a greater commercial and societal impact for your country. Many of these organizations are driven by their members, and your organizations such as ASLI and GIRI, they're quite small, and the activity comes through the actions of their members. So that's a really important thing to remember. So if there are no further questions, I would say thank you very much once again. It's been an extremely interesting webinar, and we will make the YouTube recording and the slides available to all of the registered delegates and also the NIA members. And you have earned yourself a lovely sunny weekend. So I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the weekend, and you may go home. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Claire. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.